All right, good afternoon. I'm Dan Reynard. I'm going to be joined with Cecilia Stoner, Matthew Wenninger, and John Alsani will be in our group for the next Teachback. But today we're going to be talking about competitor analysis, what it is, the business cases that it's most likely used for, as well as an example of an industry Teachback. So thinking about competitor analysis within the pharmaceutical industry. So without further ado, I'll pass it along to Cecilia to give us an overview of what we're talking about today.
Perfect. Thanks, Dan. So if you get anything out of this Teachback presentation, it is know your competition and win against the competition. So really, what is competitor analysis? So it's the process of identifying your competitors and evaluating their strategies to determine strengths and weaknesses relative to your business. And the goal of this is to kind of get that intellectual necessary information in order to develop your go-to strategy. So you need to understand your competitive landscape. So that's knowing the strategic groups that you may be competing against in similar ways. When you're competing with also similar customers and similar business models. Also looking at any factors that might limit that company to move between the two different groups. Evaluating the competition, you want to answer these 4 questions. So what does the competitor do? What is the competitor doing or capable of doing? How will a competitor respond to specific moves? And also you can use game theory. So the first 3 questions are very one-way answers and very concrete questions. But the 4th one is game theory, which is an analysis of competitor interaction by trying to predict what their next move will be. So you're trying to guess what they might be doing next compared to you. And the 4 principles of competitive strategy is knowing your strengths and weaknesses, bringing strengths against weakness, protecting and neutralizing your vulnerabilities, and develop strategies that cannot be easily imitated or copied. And it's also important to know what competitive analysis is not. So it's not using industry research, it's using your own research and knowing what your customers are telling you and what they want versus just copying and pasting what your competition is doing.
Thanks, Cecilia. So when we're thinking about competitor analysis, it's important to understand which business scenarios it's most likely applicable for. So it is important at all stages of the business life cycle, whether it's launching, growth, maintenance, and decline for a product, service, or company. So when we think about this, we need to look at a spectrum of these different scenarios, and we'll review those today here. So in the most applicable section, we're looking at the business life cycle of launching. This can either be starting a company, launching a company, creating a new product, service, or feature within that company and within their expertise and niche, and then also considering entering or launching into a new market. So this is going to be very important to understand internal capabilities as well as external competitors that are going to be competing in that space. Middle of the road applicability is going to be within growth and maintenance. So this is anything from growing or maintaining a company and a portfolio of brands, updating a product, service, or feature within that particular product or service portfolio, and then competing in existing markets and trying to optimize or increase that market share. And the least applicable competitor analysis business scenario is going to be within the declining business life cycle phase. So thinking about sunsetting a brand, selling a company in a distressed market, there are going to be less competitors and less variable inputs to be considering. So it's really about understanding what's going to be happening and what is the best decision for that current company, brand, or service. So next, we're going to be talking about the specific example of the pharmaceutical industry with Matthew.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so today we're going to be looking at the pharmaceutical industry and specifically how a strong competitor analysis can give a firm a significant advantage in bringing a product or drug to market. So one of the first key element is finding the most effective strategic path to securing a patent. Being able to patent a drug and bring it to market is very rare, but it is also extremely profitable for pharmaceutical firms. So with your competitor analysis, you need to really identify the market potential and see where there is a strong consumer base and where is there a need, and how you can look internally at your firm and see how you can leverage your strengths to pursue a path that can secure the patent. Next, you want to be able to anticipate the barriers to innovation, and this can be both internal and external. So when you're trying to innovate and create a new product, you need to look at what you are capable of and what could potentially not work out for your firm and result in a waste of significant resources. So for example, your firm might not have the technology to pursue research for a certain drug. And externally, certain markets might already be very crowded and not be worth the risk of entering and ultimately not providing a drug that is needed really. And finally, you need to identify a strong target consumer base. Your competitor analysis can help you identify what markets your competitors are currently working in and where they're innovating. And you want to be able to identify the consumer base that meets your company's needs, but also you're able to be strong competitively against other firms. So the three main objectives, which I've already mentioned a bit, are to minimize risk. Again, these are very costly endeavors in bringing these drugs to market, so it's important to truly analyze every aspect of your strategic path. And then second, you want to create a profitable product and also fulfill your consumer needs in order to truly be successful in this industry. So that concludes our presentation. And if you take anything away, just want to reference again what Cecilia mentioned, and that is you need to know the competition and then win against the competition. Thank you for listening.